Hello, everyone, and welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World, brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation. Be sure to visit them on the web at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. I am your host, Ryno Clavin, and in this week's episode, I am joined by Deni Sunderley.
Hi there.
And together we have a fun episode, I think. This one is definitely going to leave you with a little bit of some earworms, I think, going on. And we're going to be talking about the most or the best quotable attractions at Walt Disney World. That we went through kind of the whole list and tried to think of what are the ones that we feel like we'll just randomly be walking along and just like we'll say that line, or that you could say in a room with a Disney fan and they know exactly what you're referencing. So we've got a big list, surprisingly. So some things are going to be on here that you might not agree with, but some things, and then others that you're going to be like, where's that attraction? But we thought it had to kind of be narrowed down to specific like sound bites that you're left with, that you're like, I'm saying these randomly to myself. And I can already tell you right now, I'm going to be randomly saying these to myself while I walk the dogs tonight. I know I am. So, Deni, why don't we jump right in? Because the first one you said was one that I immediately, right when we talked about this idea right away, I was like, yes, 100%.
Yep. The first one that popped in my mind was Carousel of Progress in Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland. So just for me, the part that is the most iconic or just leaps to mind, I have a t-shirt of it, is There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow.
There's a great big beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day.
You know, this might date the video a little bit, but we're in the midst of Walt Disney World letting 28,000 of their cast members go. And so, but that's something that has kind of given hope or brought a little ray of sunshine, is just that one quote alone. I've seen it on social media. I've seen it from cast members. So it's a big deal, and it's a touchstone for people. And so it certainly is for me as well. So that was what rose to the top for me right away.
Yeah, and we talked about whether it should be a song, if songs count or not, because the other part was we were thinking like Tiki Room, but I was saying, well, a lot of the things I think of quote-wise are more like song-based, and so we tried to keep it like this specifically, but that is like the message through and through of that attraction is about there's a great big beautiful tomorrow. And It is one that I am always being like, there's a great big beautiful tomorrow. If you're not singing it like an old timey radio person when you leave, then I don't know what's wrong with you.
Then what are you even doing?
Why are you even here? But I also immediately always think like, my lumbago isn't acting up.
My lumbago isn't acting up.
I don't know if all these lines are stuck in my head because we did that reading, because I was thinking about my rumpus room.
My rumpus room. Oh, I practiced to try to get that line right because it is so iconic. That's when you think about certain attractions, there are those lines that really bubble up to the surface, and everyone loves them so much. If you're a Walt Disney World fan, you know them. And so, yeah.
No privacy at all.
Poor Uncle Orville.
Yeah. And there's something about the sound of that attraction too, that I think because it's been around for so long that it feels very comforting. It's like listening to a music on vinyl versus another thing. And it has that quality. And obviously we have a couple from Magic Kingdom, because I feel like this one can be both. It's definitely one of the most quotable, but it can also be one of the most annoying when people are quoting it in the moment, and that is the Haunted Mansion, right?
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Oh
Amen. It's the spiel at the beginning. It's that stretching room, and you want to be able to hear. You want everyone to be able to hear what the ghost host is saying.
Yeah.
And so often there are friends in that stretching room with you who just feel the inclination to recite every word to that spiel or scream when it's quiet.
The scream. I'm just always with the scream. I can't even tell if the scream is real anymore. I get it. You've been on the attraction before, and this sounds like it should be on the worst list, but it's one of the best parts, because I feel like it's like you said, the ghost host has such a commanding and creepy and cool voice, and it's the no windows and no doors, and is this room actually stretching?
Yep.
You
this
know,
chilling challenge.
exactly. Yeah, find a way out.
This chamber has no windows and no doors. Which offers you this chilling challenge to find a way out.
These are the things I want to hear him say. Not you, friend, that has been here 17 million times and everything, but because it is one of those things where it's like, I feel like when people start saying it, and you're going to ask the person you're with who it was their first time about it, and they'll be like, I don't know, everybody was talking, I don't really know what was going on. And that's why I'm like, come on, guys, come on.
It's been said before, but it bears reminding. It's always someone's first time on an attraction.
Yeah.
Odds are really good that someone in that stretching room has never stepped foot in Haunted Mansion before. So let them experience the attraction the way that it was designed to be enjoyed.
Yeah, just whisper to yourself if you need to say it. It's okay. I know some people do it subconsciously. Yes. Trust me, there are plenty of these where I'm always saying, and I know what I'm like, ooh, I'm that person.
Me too.
The thing about the Haunted Mansion is too, I know we chose that specific part, and I'm sure everybody has a favorite part, but that was the one that we first popped out. And there are other parts like Madame Leota's scene where I can never get it right. So we're always kind of just, I used to, when I first moved here, I had a roommate and we would say the stuff back and forth, but we were never doing parts that never existed in the Haunted Mansion, but we had convinced ourselves it was part of the spiel. And obviously, Denny, you brought one up right before we started recording, which is the creepy little doll.
Yeah. Yes, it's like little Leota at the end of the ride, whatever she is up there, who tells you, hurry back, don't forget to bring your death certificate.
Oh,
That's what she says.
Yeah.
And you just go, oh my gosh. Yeah. She's perfect and eerie, and it is the perfect punctuation at the end of that attraction.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. We have another favorite that we can't. I thought of this too in my head, and I didn't even think about this. This is part of the safety spiel at Thunder Mountain, right? It's so quotable.
It is the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
I think it's one of those things, again, it's not even what he's saying. It's how that guy says it too. And it's you could almost, in your mind, bring him to life visually. Where, for me, I don't know about you, but I think he looks like Prospector Pete from Toy Story 2.
I was about to say the same thing. He is Stinky Pete, totally.
Yeah.
Stinky Pete. No, it is the daggone safety spiel. It's not even part of, it's part of the attraction, but it's not, you're not even moving in the attraction vehicle yet. And yet that is so iconic, that one line, and it sets the tone and the tenor for the entire enchilada, and it's just so much fun.
Yeah, and it's one of those too where I think if you get off the attraction and you hadn't heard it, and this is a favorite of yours, you're kind of like, something's missing.
Yeah.
It's part of it. It's part of that experience. But before we move out of the Magic Kingdom, we do have one that we wanted to bring up that's not, it's an attraction, right? But it's not in the park. And Denny brought this up. So the monorail, right?
It is the monorail spiel. It's please stand clear of the closing doors. Por favor, manténgase alejado de las puertas.
Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
You're a braver person than me for saying that. I always mumble that part.
It's okay.
I took 5 years. No, I took more than that of Spanish, and I am embarrassed about my ability to actually speak it out loud.
My goodness, it's funny. I do the same thing too, with French. But yeah, I had a T-shirt of it. That was my ringtone for forever. Was those words over and over and over again. So that's. I agree. I think this is another thing, Ryno, like what you just said. If we didn't hear those words at least once on our vacation, that would be a little something would be missing just a little bit. That is something I will absolutely mutter to myself as I'm on the monorail, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Because it's fun to be able to recite it along with the monorail.
See, that one I feel like is okay to say because it's safety. So it's like, yes, you want to hear it, but I talk about really getting people's attention and like keeping them cued in. I think there's so many people who just love the Spanish, like how it sounds in Spanish, that they don't even know that they're like, I imagine a person who hasn't stood clear of the door says it out loud as the door bumps them. And like, they're like, why did that happen? And I'll be like, well, you just said the spiel,
Wow.
I think let's talk about Epcot for a second. Epcot, I feel like not a ton of super quotable attractions, not to say that there aren't enjoyable attractions, but and I'm sure a lot of you have your favorites, but I feel like there's a pretty great one, and that would be Soarin'. And Deni, you and I have two parts. We have two different quotes of this one too. I think Patrick Warburton does such a good job, but tell me yours.
Yes. So for me, in the whole Patrick Warburton spiel at the beginning, it is these little beauties.
These little beauties.
That just makes me giggle every single time when he's going over, okay, what you've got to put in the underseat pocket there. It is, he looks to the middle-aged man, and he's sitting there wearing his Mickey ear hat. And of course he has to take them off and stow them. And when he takes them off, he has a little balding going on. So it's just kind of really cute. And he just looks very sheepish, like, okay. And, he stows his hat. But what was yours?
Mine was nice job, pal.
Nice work, pal.
Let's hop over. Let's get over to Animal Kingdom and talk about what's happening there. I was trying to work in things are about to get wild, but I feel like I'm cringing. I'm making myself cringe. But
oh dear,
let's talk about what a lot of people think is their favorite attraction at Walt Disney World, and I'll always talk them out of it. But it's over in Pandora, the world of Avatar, in the Moara Valley, right, or something like that. I think Caltech travelers and Flight of Passage. I don't know that I enjoy quoting this, but I have seen people quoting it because I've talked about how annoying that man's voice is to me when he is doing the and I understand I also do that a lot, so I apologize. But Deni, what's the thing that he says that everybody loves?
He says fly.
And fly.
When he's going, if you've not been on it, it's the little scientist assistant dude who is, again, this is part of the, the pre-attraction spiel, but it's part of the attraction. So they're getting you loaded up and he kind of gives you the heads up on what's about to happen. And what absolutely gets me the most is the fact that there's closed captioning going on, just in case anybody in the room needs it. And literally it says, fly.
Yeah.
Closed captioning. And I'm like, we have to. So it was scripted. It was intentional. That is supposed to be there. And I say and all sorts of other, vocal tics and patterns, but good gravy is just is hysterical.
It's ingrained. It's in there. Yeah. There is, of course, one of my absolute favorite attractions at Walt Disney World is over here at Animal Kingdom, and that is going to be Dinosaur. And Deni and I also have two different parts. Deni, why don't you say yours first?
Mine originally was, hey, that's not our dino.
Definitely not our dino.
Not our dino. Yep, you're right. You got it, buddy. We don't want to take that one back with us. So...
I think there's just something about Seeker's voice and the not art. I love seeing on like Etsy and stuff, like people have shirts and stuff made out of that. Somebody I met in the park once gave me a sticker and it was the dinosaur in the beginning of the spiel that was the hello there.
Hello there.
That's awesome.
My absolute favorite thing to do though is my roommate used to be so good at impersonations. He's this like very slight, like skinny person from like Corpus Christi, Texas. So he's got that very Texas accent, and he would always do these reenactions of different parts of attractions and Disney movies and all this stuff. But he used to like Whenever I was in the kitchen cooking, he'd come in behind me, slam his hand down on the counter, and be like, "It seems I've arrived just in time to correct a little misstatement."
I've arrived, it seems, just in time to correct a little misstatement.
Phylicia Rashad throws so much sass in that one scene, and I just love it so much. I would be, I think, devastated if they changed that opening, because it's so good to me. And she is just such an iconic, like, I love her whole spiel in it, but that part is the part where I'm like, everyone shut up and listen.
You don't want to miss this.
I need you to understand when I'm yelling this at you later where it came from. That's what I feel like a lot of these are. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, let's go over to Hollywood Studios now, because we have a couple over there, and I know there's one that people are waiting for. But Deni, this is. I feel like I picked out your favorite attraction here and picked out a quote from it. But I feel like two parts. Do you not love Aerosmith Rock and Roller Coaster?
Yes, I do.
I feel like there are two parts. For me, I always think about, and I'm not going to do the hand thing, but because I know he has a CG finger in it now. But it's the whole. I love that idea.
Wait a minute. I love that idea.
I can never understand what it's Steven Tyler screaming at the countdown, what he's actually, like, if it's a countdown, because it to me just is like,
no, it's a countdown. It's a countdown.
Okay, I can't make out the words of the numbers. Oh, you have it on your phone?
It's my ringtone.
Oh, you have to play it. You have to play it. Like, I'm so jealous of you.
Okay.
Well, not jealous. My ringtone is Disneyland Phantasmics, like, elephant.
Then you're fine.
And it's the pink elephant, like the EDM breakdown, the new version that people are like, I miss the old one, and I'm like, no, this other one. I'm like, I want to go to a nightclub right now. I think it's the two that threw me off from it being like, I can't tell. Yeah. I didn't do this ride for so long because people are like, it goes upside down. And I was like, well, I'm never going to do an upside down roller coaster in my life because I'm a very scared person. But
no, you have to. Yeah.
It's that anticipation of me being like, am I locked in this enough? Are my knees pushed hard enough against the seat that if this latch unhinged that I would be so stuck in the seat I wouldn't be able to fall out? Like, that's what's going through my brain. So I can just hear the screaming. But I feel like it's such an iconic part of that attraction.
Yeah, no, if in fact, I've been on it one time. My hubby and I were on it where the audio track didn't play. The whole thing. And it was a fraction of the attraction that it is supposed to be. And so we actually asked if we could go again. We let them know what had happened, and they said, oh, absolutely. And we got to go again, because that's how important hearing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then all of the music throughout the attraction. Like, it's not as much fun when you're doing this in silence.
No, God, no. That's my nightmare. Yeah. Pop the lights on, and then I'm just like, no, you would have killed me dead at that point. I would no longer be with us. Yeah.
My eyes are burning.
There's another little more family-friendly coaster that has, I feel like, I love to say it and like hear it whenever I'm at Hollywood Studios, and that's over the Slinky Dog Dash. I love when Slinky comes up for his second launch, and he's like, hang on. And he does the, here we go. Like, I just love that he literally doesn't really say much at all, and then it's just those like 2 quick 1 second like it's the least amount of work possible in the ADR room, because you've got like Jesse and Rex that'll talk to each other up above and back and forth, and that's more for like when you're standing out there watching the attraction. But it's just like Slinky Dog's like, man, I don't want to talk. Hang on.
Well, and it's so cute. It's unexpected. If it's your first time on the attraction, then we spoiled it for you and we apologize profusely. But other than that, I mean, if you've been on, it is that fun little surprise. Like, oh, Slinky's talking to me because I'm riding on Slinky and he's talking to me. He's fixing to do something. So pretty cool.
I feel like we obviously are not going to leave Hollywood Studios without talking about what I feel like is slowly going to become the most iconic, quotable attraction because of the Diz, and that is Rise of the Resistance.
How brave.
We have when Kylo Ren turns around and goes, how brave. How brave.
How brave.
But ultimately hopeless. I love how he spins around. I love that he looks at people, and I also love that he follows that up when you start to leave and you kind of hear that there's nowhere to run.
There's nowhere to run.
I feel like that's such a moment where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what's been happening this whole time. And like that ride in the end is going to have a lot more quotable parts too. And I hate to be like, oh, it's all Kylo Ren. Because I feel like when Kylo Ren there's another part where he uses the Force, then he says something and I think it's really cool too. So, just I love that little digestible part.
I agree. I think it's great. And because of the Diz and a watch party you did with Craig and Kylie, it will forever be part of,
we need to make merch. We need to get like a Kylo Ren helmet on a red t-shirt, like a black Kylo Ren helmet. And then it needs to say "How brave" on it. Like we need that sort of stuff. We need to start that trend. Lindsay Sellers, a friend of the show, she made me a mask, and it's like a white mask, and it's like Kylo Ren's like the what his mask looks like in black on it, and then along the sides it says "How brave."
Perfect.
I love it. And we have a couple of honorable mentions really quick that we just want to throw in here too. And one of them is at this park, and I feel like I just told it to Deni at the beginning because I wasn't sure if she was aware of it. I don't know if this has happened because like my friends on the internet have started to say it or not, but I've noticed people, and now it's stuck in my head, is in Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Mickey, the thing that kind of gets the attraction going, like minor spoiler alert here, is that Mickey or somebody hits a track switch that makes the train kind of split apart. But there's a part where like Mickey's just like, oh no, I just hit that. And he's like, track switch. And he screams it. Track switch, track switch, track switch. And so it's just that part where he yells track switch. Track switch. And somebody pointed it out, and now I can't not hear it every time I go on that ride, that I think about him screaming track switch, And talk about another ride that has like an earworm of a song in it too that you end on. But
my gosh. Yeah, I love that song.
We do have some that you wanted to bring up too that were some extinct attractions. Yeah, I feel like one of the first ones you kind of jumped to was it back at Magic Kingdom? That was Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, it was Pirates of the Caribbean. It was We Wants the Redhead.
Quiet, you scum!
And of course, the redhead, Red, the pirate, has had a little bit of a redo in the past several years. And so the pirates around her don't actually say We Wants the Redhead anymore. But that's immediately where my noggin goes when I think about that attraction and anything that would be, said that would be something that would be memorable.
I mean, obviously, like Dead Men Tell No Tales. There's like other parts of that we think are quotable too. And I do like Carlos getting dunked in the tank and stuff. So, but specifically, I do, when I think of pirates, I think of We Wants the Redhead for some. Yep. I don't know. Maybe it's because all the stuff surrounding Red when that scene was getting redone, and that's why it's kind of plastered in my brain now too. But, you had an extinct one at Epcot that used to be one of my favorites when I was a kid too.
Yeah, I mean Maelstrom. Immediately, I go to Maelstrom in the Norway Pavilion, which, if you don't know, just in case you don't, is now Frozen Ever After, which is, I enjoy that attraction. Every single time I'm on it, I'm delighted by it. I think it's charming and enchanting. So that is what it is. However, Maelstrom, from the giant people in the queue on the mural, right up until the oil rig at the end, I enjoyed it. And of course, the iconic line that I remember the most is when you're going up the ride lift hill, and it's Odin, I believe, who's at the top with his glowing eye, and he says, you are not the first to pass this way, nor shall you be the last. And that is just something that I will quote a couple of times on average every year. I'll mutter it to myself. Something will be, a memory will be triggered, or something will be funny, and I'll just say it and kind of giggle to myself. But it was a really good attraction. And I love you. You shall not, if you're passing some way, Odin says, you are not the first, nor shall you be the last.
It's got good memories on that one too. And that's why I always think, at Animal Kingdom, the safari, like I miss Wilson, because Wilson would tell you all about the animals while you were in the queue, and I loved his, like, him explaining the poachers, and I love whenever he would shout on the radio while you were in Simba 1.
Simba 1, we must stop the poachers.
And then the music playing on there too. So I feel like I miss that. Like, I miss Wilson. Bring Wilson back.
There's still a little bit of him in the queue. You still learn some about the animals. I only know this because I recently had to do some waiting in the queue, but it's not to the extent that it used to be. Ryno, he used to be throughout the attraction. Yeah. The radio would come on at one point in the savannah. That doesn't happen anymore. He was so, Warden Wilson Matua was so woven into everything on that attraction. And I agree. I miss him. I miss him calling out Simba 1, the whole 9 yards.
I also feel like honorable mention, we have to bring up Tiki Room and Jungle Cruise, because people, I think, will lose their mind if we didn't say that. Yeah. The thing is that, like I said, we kind of debated, like, is the song really the quotable part, or is it like something they say? And, and I'm sure there are people who love, their parts of the speeches in Tiki Room and stuff. And then Jungle Cruise, I feel like we brought it up, but we didn't really think of a specific line. We thought like maybe like he'll get it in the end or something. I think about that because it's the Ryno doing it, so I'm always like,
oh, there you go. Yeah, but for me, it's the backside of water.
Yeah,
that is the moment that I want to clap and I want to hoot and holler and woohoo over the backside of water, because it just feels like a little bit of an inside joke. It's a wink and a nod that we all get. And, if there's some on the boat, bless their hearts, who don't get it yet, they'll get it next time, because they'll know it's a thing. Yeah. They'll all of a sudden know this.
It's a tough one, because that whole attraction can kind of be very quotable. And it's dependable. It's weird because that one's dependable on your skipper as well, right? But there are some of those like marquee phrases that are said on that, and definitely the backside of water for sure. So those are all the ones we came up with. I know we didn't say Country Bear, but we did talk about the guys that turn us on, always turn us down. We did bring that up. And there again, that's another one where we're like, oh, there's so much from it. So we do want to hear from you and have you tell us what your favorite, like the most, your favorite, the best, like most quotable attraction that you've ridden at Walt Disney World. Let's hear about it. It doesn't have to exist anymore. Just, like we said, we named a couple that really stick with us over the years. So thank you, Deni, so much for having this conversation with me.
Thank you, Ryno, for having me.
Thank you, everybody out there, for listening and watching. And if you are planning a Disney vacation anytime in the near future or anytime at all, please consider using Dreams Unlimited Travel. The experts over there can get you started on having a magical vacation. It won't cost you anything extra on your trip, and you help support the show and keep the content flowing on the Diz and the Diz Unplugged and the website and all these places and everywhere like that. So anybody that ever does book with them, we're very much appreciative of you. So thank you so much for that. Like I said, leave us some comments below about your favorite attractions to quote, and that'll do it. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel. We'll be back with another episode of the best and worst of Walt Disney World. Bye, everyone.